Black Lightning's back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Black Lightning is back. We back. The culture is back. And a lot happened in this episode because apparently it's been a year. Like they're following up on real time. It's been a year since the war, since the Markovian situation. So let's jump right into this. So this premiere episode starts. It starts with Jefferson at Henderson's grave, and they always talked about how the two of them were like friends, how they were close and everything, but we find out just how serious that Jefferson's really taking Henderson's death. Like, he's really not happy about it. He's doubting himself. He's hurt. He's in a lot of pain. He's even at the point now where he's starting to see his dad. Like his dad, like the ghost of his father came, who also played on Swamp Thing. The ghost of his father showed up, and then he was just trying to talk to him. He was like, the people of Freeland, need help. They're going to need you now more than ever. And then Jefferson's like, yeah, but Black Lightning's dead. And he was just like, we've been over this. And then he said that. So I'm like, so this obviously isn't the first time because, even in season 1, he saw his dad in like memories or whatever. And his dad told him, he's like, we've been over this before. He was just like, the whole thing about you not being Black Lightning and then you being Black Lightning. He was like, the people need Black Lightning. So you got to get out there and you got to do what you got to do. But he was just like, Black Lightning's dead. So he leaves the grave. He's headed to couples counseling because him and Lynn are going to couples counseling. While he's on his way to couples counseling, he sees a young black teen who is a violinist. He got run up on by the police. The police were beating him up. Jefferson gets out the car and he's just like, hey, I know that kid, leave him alone. And then here come the cops talking about, get your black ass out of the way. But Black Lightning got mad, and then he basically, like, he zapped the cops. He blew up the police vehicle, and then the kid ran away. Now, what's funny about that is he walked over to the police and he did like some magic electric trick, and he kind of like wiped the memories of the police officers. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't remember him being able to do that. So Jefferson has new powers now that he's never had before, which is very interesting. So, he wipes their memories clean, and, then he rushes off to couples counseling. He's sitting in couples counseling now, him and Lynn. Lynn is back, and then she's just like, oh, Jefferson, there's no intimacy in our relationship. And he's just like, he's like, first of all, woman, he's like, my best friend died. He's like, you don't care about, what's going on with me, and then here's the funny thing. And I actually I clapped when this happened because, Lynn had brought up the kids. And she said, she was just like, Jefferson, when she was like, Nissa and Jennifer, they're out there in the field. And, if they had you with them, then maybe they wouldn't be in trouble. And then Jefferson was like, first of all, Lynn, he was just like, I've been telling them kids what to do for the last God knows how many years. He's like, those kids do not listen. And when he said that, I said, give that man a standing ovation. Because even I've been saying, like, ever since Black Lightning's been on, my biggest complaint is that those, like, Nissa and Jennifer do not listen to him at all. They're like he said, they're too overzealous. They always jumping in head first, and they don't want to take his advice. They don't want to take the advice from someone who's been in their shoes and knows a little something about fighting crime. They think they know everything. So he's just like, so Jefferson now, because he's dealing with with Henderson's death, because he's no longer Black Lightning, he basically gave up being Black Lightning. He's at the point now where he's just like, yo, if Nissa and Jennifer want to go fight crime, fuck it. He's like, go do what you gotta do. He's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna be around for it, and to an extent, like, he's kind of staying out of it, so like I said, so the counselor was talking to them about their relationship. They asked Lynn if she's still hooked on the green light, and then Lynn was just like, oh, my sobriety is going okay, and then Jeff was like, that's that bullshit. So she gave them some advice about their marital situation, and then that was it. The two of them left. So now Nissa and Jennifer, there's a scene, Nissa and Jennifer, they're at the hospital because Grace is still here. She's still in the hospital because, remember, she got ass beat. Like, Nissa beat her ass like in the last episode. So Grace is still out. She's still in the hospital. She's being tended to. Nissa's there like every single day, but obviously because she almost married the girl, that's the woman that she loves. Jennifer was there. She was trying to talk Nissa down, and she was just like, look, I don't know if you're gonna gonna want to hear this, but she was like, you've been by Grace's bedside for a year, and maybe it's time that you move on. And then she's like, girl, first of all, your ass didn't move on with Khalil when Khalil was crazy, and we told you Khalil was crazy, and you left the family, you ran off with him. The boy had the mind chip in his head. He tried to kill everybody, and you were still like, oh, Khalil. Khalil. So I'm like, the hypocrisy is being more than brought up on this show, and I'm here for all the pettiness. I'm here for Petty Murphy, Petty Pendergrass, Petty LaBelle. I think I'm here for all the petty smoke. And then Jennifer, she ain't had nothing to say, and then she was just like, yeah, well, she's like, you my sister, I still got your back. So Lynn comes in, and then she's just like, like, I gave Grace some sedatives, and then hopefully it'll help. So now so they're out there. So now, like, Nissa and Jennifer, they're the crime fighting duo that protects the city now. It's no longer Black Lightning, it's the Thunder and Lightning show. And I'm just like, well, thank God, because if we were going to get a spinoff, it should be Thunder and Lightning anyway. So they're busting up drug rings, they're taking down like, and they actually mentioned, they said that there are two gangs now. There's the 100 gang, who's still led by the Tattoo Man, good old Lala. And then there's another gang, and I believe they said it was Cobra. And then when they said Cobra, I was like, okay, because we know Cobra is the organization that deals with, like, animal gene splicing. So keep your eye out on that if it actually is like the Cobra, that we're all aware of. So they hit one warehouse, took out all of his drugs and his guns and stuff. They hit another one, blew up all that stuff as well. So now Lala, he mad now, because he's just like, yo, Thunder and Lightning, they taking out my stuff, and I gotta protect Freeland, because I'm the one that's been holding down Freeland. And then he's watching the news. And at the same time he's watching the news, he's watching the news because Jefferson, Nissa, and Lynn, they were at the house because apparently it was Lynn and Jeff's anniversary. So they're at the house, cooking dinner, whatever. They asked, like, where Jennifer was. They said that Jennifer's flying around the city, whatever, which pissed Black Lightning off, because he was like, yo, when you see Jennifer, tell her to bring her ass downstairs, because we need to talk about this whole flying situation. He sees Tobias Whale on the TV show and completely flips his shit. Lala sees Tobias Whale on the TV, and then Lala ends up shooting the television and blowing the TV up. So he tells his people, he's just like, yo, if Tobias steps foot in Freeland, he gonna crack his ass. He tells his boy, he's like, but first, before we deal with Tobias Whale, he was like, yo, Thunder and Lightning, they've been taking out all of our drug situations, so we gotta fix that. We gotta handle that one. So he said that there's supposed to be a truck that has their drugs, but it also has, like, metahuman weapons. So he was just like, before the drugs get to the city, I want you to get your hands on those metahuman weapons and bring the metahuman weapons to him, because he was just like, listen, we got to handle this. He was just, when he got his hands on the metahuman weapons, he was like, listen, we said we're gonna do a third drug situation, and most likely the two of them are gonna try to bust that up as well. When they show up, I want you to use these meta weapons to take them out. Shoot Thunder. He said shoot Lightning first, because she's the most powerful. And when he said that, I was like, that's how we're gonna get Jen off the show for a while. So that was the whole thing there. So Thunder and Lightning, like, they go down to bust up the thing. Your boy shows up with the gun, blast Lightning with the gun. Jennifer's down for the count. They bring her back to, and that was I don't know where they brought her, because we saw in last season, the Sanctum, like Gamby's tailor shop, when he had the underground situation, they blew that up in the last episode. So I don't know where Gamby is now, because they brought Jennifer to some high-tech, over-exaggerated, some blue glass-looking facility, and the whole time I'm sitting there like, yo, whose house is this? Because I know for a fact this ain't Gamby's tailor shop. So, but they never said where they were, or, like, what bunker they were in or whatever. So so they're talking about the whole situation. Jeff gets mad again, and and then, like, he gets into a small argument with Lynn and Nissa, because earlier they were talking about the Tobias Whale situation, and Nissa was flat out like, yo, we gotta kill his ass. And Lynn was just like, she was like, I agree, like, Tobias Whale needs to go. And then he was just like, no, nobody kills Tobias Whale without my authorization. And I'm just like, but you don't even want to be Black Lightning no more. So it's like, you don't want to be Black Lightning no more, you don't want to fight crime anymore, but you're telling them that nobody can whoop on Tobias Whale but you. So I'm just like, Jeff's not making any sense right now, because, like, he's emotionally distraught, and I do agree with him that Nissa and Jennifer need to be reeled in a little bit, but I don't, but he was just like, oh, they shouldn't be going out there at all. And I'm like, I don't agree with that, because if you ain't going out there, somebody got to go out there. He just needs to guide them more, but at the same time, they got to be open to listen. And the two of them are never open to listen to him at all. Jefferson tells Gamby, he's like, yo, who took a shot at my baby girl? And then he, they pull him up on facial recognition. He goes down to the kid's house and he whoops the kid's ass. So now I'm like, bro, like, but every time he did something where it was like, when he blew up the cop cars, whatever, when he beat up the kid, he did it as Jefferson Pierce, like he never put on the suit. And that was something that Gamby, brought up to him. He was just like, yo, if you're gonna go out there busting heads, he's like, yo, just wear the goddamn suit, but he doesn't want to wear the suit. And this now brings us to Gamby, which is interesting because earlier in the episode, he had a meeting, which what I'm going to assume is his ex-wife. And if that was Gamby's ex-wife, kudos to you, my brother. So the two of them were having a conversation. So apparently, we're just going to say it's his ex-wife. So apparently his ex-wife, she works for the government. She has like some secret government organization thing that's supposed to come into Freeland and try to deal with the metahuman problem or whatever, and like the drug problem. She was trying to get Gamby to join the team. She was just like, hey, like, you should join the squad. You should be a part of this. She was like, after everything you did for Freeland, after everything you gave to Freeland, you deserve a chance to work at a big time government facility where you're paid and you ain't got to worry about none of that stuff. He was like, no, I respectfully declined. And his wife was just like, I'm glad to hear that you weren't dead. She gave him a kiss. She walked away. He checked out that ass when she walked out. And then Gamby went to go handle business. He found Jefferson later on at a bar. Two Bits was still there. Two Bits is still around. Jefferson was at the bar. Gamby tried to talk to him, and then he was just like, listen, he was like, like, I understand you're hurting, but you're not the only person that lost somebody, in a war. And then he was like, second of all, your family needs to see this. He was just like, I know you're trying to protect yourself because you don't want them to see you in pain, but I think he was like, I think if the girls see you like this, they'll change their mind frame as far as like how they feel about, doing the crime fighting thing. Like they need to see that. But Jefferson wasn't really trying to hear it. Like I said, he was still trying to, he's still trying to deal through the pain. And then he was upset about the Tobias situation. So now he got worried about that. There's a new chief of police in Freeland. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she played in, what was it, The Best Man movies? She played in The Best Man movies. She's now the new chief of police. She took over from Henderson. And there's another cop who apparently served under Henderson. He was Henderson's, like understudy, his ward, if you will. Henderson was his mentor. He's on the force as well as the right hand to the new chief of police. Wendell from Girlfriends, he popped up on the show, and it was nice. It's nice to see him because honestly, like the actor that played Wendell on Girlfriends, like I heard he had like some heart issues, or he had some serious like health issues, at some point. So to actually see him on TV was really cool. And because the Akeels were behind Girlfriends anyway, it's nice to see them, give one of their people like a shot on a TV show. So seeing him was very cool. So the cop, I can't remember the cop's name, but the Jefferson, Henderson's understudy, he contacted Black Lightning and he was like, yo, meet me somewhere. He gave Black Lightning a letter that Henderson had wrote to give to Black Lightning in the event that he didn't make it. The two of them ended up having a conversation where the guy was just like, look, he was like, first of all, he's like, I don't really mess with metahumans like that anyway. And then he was like, second of all, Henderson was my boy. He was my mentor and I'd do anything for him. And he told me to trust you and believe in you. But I got a problem with you because Henderson said you were the protector of the city. And I see your bitch ass is just like, you just been in the shadows and you ain't been doing nothing since. So he was just like, when you decide to be a man and protect the city, come holler at me. Then, which I thought was weird. So now we're back at the school. Jefferson apparently has his job back as principal. So I don't know what happened to Principal Lowry. I don't know what happened to Lowry. Lowry gone. Jeff's the principal again. Both Henderson's understudy and the new chief of police, the two of them rolled up on him and they was just like, listen, 2 cops got attacked earlier. And we got a partial license plate. There are only like 7 people in the city that have a license plate that ends in these numbers, and yours is one of them. And then the funny thing with Jeff was he didn't even try to like come up with a decent lie. He was just like, he just hit him with the shaggy like it wasn't me. And they were just like, okay, but the car is registered in your name. It wasn't me. They was like, but what about the license plate? It wasn't me. It's like, but we saw you. He was just like, listen, he was like, first of all, he's like, I'm not a cop. He's like, with all due respect, it's your job to figure out this whole situation. He's like, all I know is my name's Bennett and I wasn't in it. He was just like, I went to Henderson's grave, then I went to couples counseling, and that was it. So I don't know what you want to do, but I got kids to teach. So the two of them left. They walked out. The dude was just like, obviously he's lying. And she was like, yeah, he lying, but we'll take care of his black ass later. So, so that was that. And then Tobias Whale, he's going into philanthropy. Like Tobias Whale, he's basically rebuilding the city. He's using his fortune because, again, the city was hit hard after the war and after the situation. Tobias Whale is using his money to repair the city. Tobias Whale's basically the Lex Luthor of Freeland. You know, like he's rebuilding Freeland. He's giving money to Freeland. So everybody's looking at Tobias Whale now like he's like some big, you know, like savior that's coming here to like help the people of Freeland. And this is said dead ass. First of all, if he's giving money out to, you know, to families and to charities, and if he's rebuilding Freeland, there's a purpose behind it. So we need to off his ass right now before whatever plan he's cooking up comes to fruition. And that's when Jefferson was like, no, I'll take care of Tobias Whale. So, you know, so Tobias is just free to run around and do what he will. He goes to Lynn's job, you know, like they introduced, you know, one of the doctors introduced Lynn to Tobias Whale. Obviously, they had a whole thing last season when they were in Markovia. He's just like, and he's still flirting with her, which I thought was funny. He was like, Dr. Stewart. He was just, he's like, it's nice to see a fine sister like you still working in the field. And then I was waiting. The one thing I will say that didn't happen and I missed it, I was waiting for a classic Tobias. That's what's wrong with you, Negro. I was waiting for a Tobias Whale line. We didn't get it. He gonna give us one. I know he gonna give us one before this is up. So we just wait for Tobias to give the people what they want. You know, and that was it. Lynn, she is still experimenting with metahuman powers. She actually had a list of all the metahumans like Wendy, you know, and that's another thing. No Geoforce in this episode, no Brandon, no TC, Khalil didn't show up. So I'm just like, those are 3 metahumans. What happened to Wendy? Like, we ain't see her in a minute. So there's a lot of questions here. But apparently Lynn has their DNA. And Lynn's actually been experimenting on their DNA. She even has Gravedigger's DNA as well. She's been doing a lot of experiments with it. What Lynn is doing, because when she gave herself powers last season, when she used like the Gravedigger serum to give herself powers, it only lasted for like an hour. She's now done the research and the work to extend that to 12 hours. So Lynn's whole thing is she's trying to give herself metahuman powers and extend it for a certain period of time. I don't know if she's trying to be a superhero because Jeff don't want to be out in these streets, but the reason why she's doing that hasn't been brought up, which also says to me, I don't 100% feel like she's not taking green light now. You know, like if anything, because she was smart enough to be able to extract all those metahuman DNAs and extend the process for up to 12 hours, I still think she's taking the green light, because when she was taking green light, it was enhancing like her brain capacity. So that was that's going to be interesting too, because if she is still taking green light, will it poison her body? Will it help her? Will it hurt her? What the situation will be. Jeff and Lynn kind of made up at the end. Like Lynn came up to him and apologized, and she was like, I didn't know that you were hurting, Jefferson. And I was just like, well, it's about damn time. You know, so the two of them are kind of okay now. And the show ended with Jennifer flying through the sky because Jeff said he was just like, yo, he wasn't feeling her flying through the air or whatever. And then while she was flying, all of a sudden like her powers failed, and then she just fell out of the sky, and she was about to crash and burn to the ground. So that was how the episode ended. So they came out very strong. They answered a lot of questions. They told you about, you know, all the different characters. Like everybody got a chance to, you know, to tell their story. No Lady Eve. We ain't get no Lady Eve, but everybody had a chance to basically, like, you know, find out where they're at now versus last year. The whole thing with Jennifer, again, this is the final season of Black Lightning, and we knew that China Anne McClain, she said out of her own mouth, she was planning on leaving the show anyway. And for this final season, she's going to be on the show in a limited capacity. She's not going to be in as many episodes, and the episodes that she's in, she's not going to be in them a lot. And we saw that with this episode, because as much as Jefferson talked about how he wanted to talk to Jennifer about the flying situation, I don't think there was one scene in this episode where Jennifer and Jeff were in the same scene at the same time. The only scenes that she did was with Nissa, and then the one scene with the mom, when they were at the hospital. So her and Jeff weren't even in the same episode, you know, like at the same, when they were just like, oh, Jennifer's recovering from being blasted with the metahuman weapon. she wasn't, they didn't even show her lying in the bed or whatever. They're just like, oh, she's just in the other room. So there's going to be a lot of that this season. There's going to be a lot of situations. Who knows? Like the fact that I feel like what they're going to do in the next episode, they're going to be like, oh, because she took that shot from the metahuman gun, it's going to mess with her powers. So she can't be lightning for a little while until she fully recovers. And that'll be how they get her off the show for a few episodes. And then she'll come back, she'll whoop some ass, and then she'll disappear again, this, that, and the third. So that was, that was it for that. I want to see what's going on with Nyssa and Grace. I mean, because obviously Grace is going to wake up, but I want to know how the Nyssa-Grace relationship's going to go. I saw a clip that she ends up going back to be Blackbird again, and I want to know why, because I hate, it's weird because it's the same person, but I love Thunder and I hate Blackbird. So I want to know what makes her put the Blackbird costume back on. Maybe because Jennifer's going to be out for a while, maybe she goes back to being Blackbird. I want to know how long Jefferson does the woe is me gimmick before he actually puts the suit back on, because the suit's in his watch. All he has to do is just activate it and turn the damn thing on. I'm interested to see the relationship between like the chief of police. Can we trust the chief of police? Is she good? Is she bad? She did say she was trying to get all the metahumans in the city registered, and I'm like, that's always a bad idea. And you know, and it's unfortunate because of the pandemic, we're not going to get any like crossovers or whatever, because it would be cool to see some of the other actors from the other shows pop up on that Black Lightning. But let me know in the comments what you think about that certain characters. Like, who's a character that you're going to have your eye on this whole season? Like, who are you going to be watching? Whose storyline do you want to, you know, are you paying attention to more so than others? Or are you paying attention to everything and you just like how the show goes? It's the last season of Black Lightning, unfortunately. The show is ending. But like I said, we can enjoy this ride for as long as they're going to give it to us and talk about the culture, because Black Lightning is the culture. So thank you for tuning in. Check me out on social media. Hit the notification bell, like and or subscribe, to my YouTube channel. I'm also doing a podcast. I'm doing the Tacos and Geeks podcast with Gotham Geek Girl, Justin and Sean, which is amazing. There'll be a link in the bio for one of them, for some of the podcasts that I do with them. If you guys want to check that out, definitely check it out, because they are really good podcasts. We talk about, things like anime, superhero related as well. And, like I said, check me out on social media, hit the notification bell so you know when new videos are coming up, because Superman is coming. We got Batwoman coming back on Valentine's Day, and we're still doing WandaVision. So thanks for tuning in, guys.